What's up, guys? Welcome back once again to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship as we're about to dive into Game 2 of our second semifinal here as the GE Tigers take on WE. We've had some time to discuss, and you guys, especially the Fisho and Crumbs, have came up or tailored a strategy that
nope.
WE... Oh, you know, we had a discussion, actually.
That was not a strategy. We were just talking about the 80 carries.
Okay. What? No, I mean the Rek'Sai and the Kalista combo and the objectives.
Right, so
The Fisho.
they tried to snowball earlier, and obviously the Rek'Sai passive makes it really difficult to set up picks, even if you're ahead in the laning phase. So, you know, it would be wise for World Elite to either get rid of the Rek'Sai or first pick it. And I think you have another point about that to make.
No, my point was about the Kalista instead, because we saw it coming in from Mystic here, and yes, I agree it can snowball the laning phase. You can set up some good combos with the likes of a Thresh in the lane, but the way I see it for World Elite to win the game here, it's not about, you know, securing 5 dragons, because I'm not going to see them get 5 dragons at 35 minutes. I need to see a combo that can win the laning phase and then can be really strong in a mid-game team fight. LeBlanc was perfect. I would like to see Lucian into Corki. We've seen him so far this tournament do really well if you skip that Corki power spike, or well, if you can match it at least, and then you become better later on. That's what I would like. I do, however, like your point about Kalista as well, Crumbs, because I like everything about you.
Thank you. But the point I was making about the Kalista that you did not mention was that in the laning phase, they did really try to get a lot of kills. And I do think the Lucian would be a more certain way of getting out ahead in the laning phase. I think that the Kalista probably would not have gotten any kills during the laning phase. But if you get to a point where you have a lot of control in the top and mid side of the map, which they did, with the ability to rend and basically outsmite anyone, you have a really strong ability to force objectives.
Yeah, we're going to dive into picks and bans here in just a second. Remember, you can find all the cool stats that we've been showing you on stream as well if you download the Score Esports app. It's amazing. I have it myself as well.
Wow.
Wow.
That was certainly a plug if I've ever seen one. Anyway, picks and bans here. Victor Lissandra for Team WE. And, well, from their side, looks like the plan's not really changed. For G Tigers, Diana, this time taking out LeBlanc, so more of a focus on GA.
Question is if Sivir or Maokai would be the last ban for G Tigers. I still think you should take away Sivir from Mystic, so you avoid again that hard engage composition we can see from World Elite, who can snowball really well if you get ahead in the laning phase and get into teamfights in the mid game.
I think the Sivir would be a better choice here, just because we saw Smed being able to deal with the Maokai very effectively. I mean, to be honest, he reminded me with his equalizers of Denzel Washington in his latest action film, The Equalizer, serving that much justice.
Okay, I've not seen it, so I
We've
can't
heard
really comment.
this thing for Crumbs for like 3 days now, and he really wanted to say it.
He asked me if it's
great.
all right if he talks about that, and also about balls, something about joking about that. But
Also, Maokai has been the 2 big points for you.
yeah, that's it. Rek'Sai, final ban here for GE Tigers. So on the red side, didn't want to first pick Rek'Sai. Leaves Jarvan open, which is what they banned last time around, and it looks like Spirit's going to take that straight away.
So no Maokai for Luca just yet. Can still go for it, obviously, because GE Tigers decided to go Rumble instead, a pick we have seen work against the likes of Maokai beforehand. I'm still a little bit surprised about Spirit being so happy about this Jarvan here after the nerfs, because it's been hit and miss for him, honestly. We've seen him being shut down completely in the early game. We know Lee has the ability to do it. We've also seen him do fairly well. And I know it's his main pick back from the LPL, and where they haven't played on 5.4 yet in terms of like the LPL.
I'm really expecting to see a Sivir pick rounding out this World Elite composition, just because they're more than likely going to get the Janna, going to get the Jarvan. They've ran this composition the entire tournament, and a speed comp versus the Rumble is really useful because you can get out of the Equalizer relatively safely, unlike the Kalista that we saw last pick, who just kind of fries in it.
It's exactly the same setup we see for them. They take the Janna for some sort of disengage at least, and then you just have full-on dive in. No Diana this time. I wonder if Ahri might come in the mid lane, or potentially this Annie pickup. We know he plays it. He's the second most played champion in solo queue, and also he used to play when he was on World Elite Academy. The few games he got in there in the LPL, well, he didn't play it. He was banned away, honestly, in almost all the games. But he plays Annie mid lane.
He does play it.
This is the time to pull it out.
The question is, do you take a risk now and go with that? Just try it? I mean, probably worth the risk at this stage.
Yeah.
Either way, Lee Sin for Lee, and we also see Gorilla will take Nami this time.
I think the risk you have here running the Annie mid lane is that with the Lee Sin Rumble versus the Sion, it's not that easy to focus that lane just because of how tanky the Sion can be. And, yes, snowballing the Rumble is good for your team. Shutting down Sion doesn't really do all that much for you. And the Ahri is going to be the pick. And then, again, another high skill match.
Oh, wow, okay.
Another very high skill mid lane matchup.
Yeah, I really don't agree with Mystic going Ezreal here. I don't really see how that's going to do enough for World Elite in terms of the laning phase and the potential snowball. They need to win this game. Sivir would have been so much better for the entire composition. But GE Tigers changing it up a little bit. Still a lot of Kite coming in, but suddenly you have the Yasuo, who's obviously going to be together with Lee, Sin and Lee together as well, the two guys, to set up some nice kicks and of course the Nami.
I think that Yasuo's wind wall should block Sion's ultimate as well. Like, he should just run into it and kind of fall over or something like that. But either way, interesting choices coming out of WE and GE Tigers this time.
Yeah, and both mid laners going all in, but will it be enough to keep World Elite in the tournament? We'll find out right after this.
And welcome back, guys, to the Intel Extreme Masters, our final semi-final of the day, WE versus the GE Tigers. And GE with a possibility to move on to the grand finals off of this Yasuo pick for Kuro. It was a pretty interesting pick, man, wasn't it?
I have a question quickly before you jump in here.
Okay.
Do you think Kuro is a little bit frustrated he gave up a solo kill to Xia, and this Yasuo could be a reply?
I mean, possibly, of course,
perhaps.
you can break, you can block a lot of the charms and orbs of deception coming in. Obviously, this is not a pick that we see very much in competitive play. He's been getting slowly buffed a little bit, little movement speed here and there, but coming into this is Kuro's third competitive game on Yasuo in his career, so it's definitely not a champion he's known for. He has not played it at all in 2015.
Right. Well, we'll see what he can do as we...
He's 2-0.
Yeah, he's
2-0 all time.
Perfect record. Just like Lee's Rengar. A perfect win rate. Well, here we go. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, guys. GE Tigers versus WE. As my voice goes back to its normal timbre. We'll see.
Timbre.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here to help me with my pronunciation.
Well, you've been struggling a little bit today. I got to help you out where I can.
I can't deny this. GE Tigers looking to maybe get a ward in here. Gorilla just chasing Mystic away. There's some bloodthirsty support right there. Gets the deep ward in. Deep-ish.
It looks like it's going to be standard lanes for the time being. Playing Gorilla, Lee rocking the SKT skin on Lee.
It's the motivation for him to get a skin later on.
Do you really want to channel your inner Bengi, though, if you're Lee? I'm not so...
Maybe not anymore.
So sure.
But that's, the skin is in memory or memoir, depending on...
Memoriam?
which
well, he's actually still alive, guys, just not at this tournament.
He's still doing okay.
Although maybe these days, the new skin perhaps a little more appropriate.
Perhaps, yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not Lee's going to put some pressure in that top lane and try to help out Smeb again, or if he wants to maybe help out Kuro as well, especially once they get to level 6. just the amount of kill threat that you do have with that Yasuo plus Lee is going to be terrifying.
Yep.
And just, looking at the draft right here, I thought that they may go for a double AD again with this composition, as we saw that last pick, and Nami effectively just providing a disengaged support, just like we would see in their last composition. But that last pick coming in, I think the Nami, once the Janna was taken away and the Ezreal was removed, I think they were just like, well, we got Nami, screw it. Let's just go for the Yasuo and see what we can do. Because at this point in the tournament, G's probably very confident, right?
Yeah.
And they want to make sure, this is probably a little bit of a mind game for TSM to say, hey, we have this pocket pick available. Because if Koro has a strong performance here on this, it's just one more wrench in the works of TSM's plan to play against this. So it's very valuable in this situation, I feel.
That's really how Kuro's been, though, all season, right? I mean, just when you think he's run out of mid laners to play, he brings out the Victor. Today it's the Yasuo. And like you said, if he does well, it's a scary thought for TSM to have to deal with potentially another champion in the mid lane.
And for all we know, too, because GE has played so standard in terms of their composition throughout this tournament, or standard by GE, we really don't know if they have anything special prepared. They certainly haven't been challenged enough to show it.
True, very true.
Yeah, and during the winners' interviews that they had on day one of the tournament, GE was actually mentioning how they haven't had as much time to watch all of their opponents' VODs, but obviously all the information from the coaches and the analysts that's coming through is still more than enough, because they've had textbook replies for every single opponent that they have played.
Right, and that's the problem is when you look at the champion pools, they're just pretty big. The exception maybe with Lee on this team, but there are so many other bans that he doesn't ever really have to worry about running out of junglers, and Jin Air tried to ban him out, and then even when he was playing pretty badly on Rengar, they still found a lot of ways to win because they gave so many power picks over to the rest of the Tigers.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of teams have been struggling week in and week out. And remember, in Korea too, these are best of 3 matches. Teams have had a chance to adapt to what the GE Tigers are throwing at them, and there has still been, the only real answer is Faker's LeBlanc.
Looks like there might be some action here in the mid lane. Xia taking a bit of damage from Kuro's Yasuo. Lee waiting in that river. And here he comes. Oh, not quite getting the angle, but there's Spirit right there. Lee on the defensive now. There's the knockup, but it doesn't connect. Lee having to burn that flash to get back into it. A little bit of a missed timing there, I suppose.
I want to touch on, look at that. Xia jumped on by Kuro and he eats the charm.
Yep. Oh, here's Spirit though. Kuro, did you not know that Spirit was just there? Looks like he's ready anyway. Doesn't even need to use that flash. Meanwhile, Smeb a bit low in that top lane. Luka, of course, did use that trick to get the fast level 2 against the Raptors with the 1 death early on.
Yeah, and such a lane bully. Sion is so frustrating to deal with because he's constantly kicking his minions into your face. And we've not seen Lee try to move towards the top lane. He did wait for Smeb to get ganked first before giving him some assistance previously. But to go back to your previous point, Monty, Faker's LeBlanc was the only thing that beat them, as you highlighted.
Decisively,
yes. Touche. However, tomorrow, the Western mid lane god has some great champions in his pool, and if Bjergsen is going to try lead TSM to any map victories tomorrow at all, it's going to have to be of some incredible assassin performances.
Yeah, almost certainly, because you have to get those 1v1 kills against them, because once GE groups up, it's lights out. I mean, there's not really been anybody. Jin Air has that 1 win, but it's been a while since that victory. And GE has just improved from that point forward. Spirit getting a ward in. He will pop, actually, Lee's Raptor buff right there by putting his trinket into the tri-brush. Making a play right here. This is potentially a vulnerable Rumble.
Oh boy,
He's not 6.
Smeb very, very low. He flashes right away, dodges some skill shots. Luka taking some turret hits. Lee coming up to provide a bit of support, but he's not even needed. Smeb doing a very good job dodging things there.
I mean, WE, they had the level 6 advantage. They might as well go for that one. They didn't tank the turret exactly in the best way possible. And considering he knew Lee was in the top side, I think they couldn't commit to that as much as they might have liked. And now Smeb with the equalizer going to make it a lot more difficult.
Yeah, and again, for World Elite, even though they're even in lanes at the moment, despite the bottom lane actually Mystic being bullied around by Prey and Gorilla, if they don't get a lead, if they don't get ahead of GE Tigers, once GE start grouping up, they're just going to put so much pressure with Rumble, with Yasuo and Nami. That team fight is terrifying.
is really interesting, actually. He's starting Cutlass on Yasuo in the mid lane. So, of course, typically we see Yasuo go for the static shift first just to take advantage of his passive and give him some more wave clear. This says to me that he's going for very aggressive trades in this situation, that he wants to repeatedly trade, and be able to continue to just heal back up to full health and keep that minion wave pushed. Of course, the setup in this game, pretty darn good for Yasuo overall. And if we see the same kind of decisive team fighting, the setup off the tidal wave is going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Kuro, of course, maxing his E on that Yasuo sweeping blade. So if he's going to get into melee range, makes his life a lot easier to land the knock-up from Steel Tempest once he gets those stacks up from his Q. So Kuro could just be looking to set himself up. An easier line, it's going to be very difficult to hit an Ahri with the range tornado because of the fact she's going to have that Spirit Rush. So smart play, and this is some support for Smeb. Almost like a repeat to the previous game. Smeb gets ganked. This time he doesn't give up first blood.
Yep.
And then
GE Tigers might be in trouble.
No,
there's his zoning. Yeah, zoning equalizer comes down to Luca. Is going to have to try to flash away. Well, no flash available. There's a nice Aqua Prism from Gorilla, and first blood goes to Lee. And everyone runs from Ghost to Luca, or double Ghost to Luca, I suppose. They get out clean.
Lee's been taking a lot more kills this tournament than he normally does. I'm pretty sure that one was pretty safe to hand over there, considering it was at max like 2v3 up in the top side, and they weren't that committed to the dive yet, but they do get that kill.
Gorilla.
All the same, and should give it to Gorilla, of course, naturally.
You're absolutely right, Monte Cristo. I'm glad we're on the same page with that one.
The one thing that Jarvan has shown at the World Championships is the ability to get early dragons, so World Elite that managed to grab that solo, but now Shia's in trouble. Was in trouble.
Maybe still, no, not really. Oh, goes in. A little bit of damage. Aluka just using that ult to get back to lane fast. Smeb, an agile robot suit, and he's on the run now as well. A little bit of damage, actually. Aluka turning around. The minions starting to poke away at him a bit.
Is there any champion that's funnier than Sion?
No, there's not.
I don't think so.
You just can't help but laugh when he ults. It's fantastic.
You know he's usually going to miss, too. That's the best part. It just seldom ends well, you know.
I sincerely hope that live audiences start rattling their feet more when Sion's running. It's something that has been picked up in the LCS studio because we're seeing a fair amount of Sion.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you just end up feeling the rumble. And then the reason it's so brilliant is it always ends in a because it never hits.
Yeah.
It never finds a target.
I think you can add that like, whoa, while you rumble with your feet. But
well, don't say rumble. That's confusing because that's a different champion.
Stamp your feet.
That's right.
Buzz Killer Doa.
No.
But yes, standard lanes, standard CS, kill advantage to GE, despite being down a dragon, but it doesn't matter because at some point GE will stop grouping and then you don't want to fight Rumble in the Dragon Pit.
Fair enough. Oh, Brain Gorilla doing a lot of damage to the spot turret.
Mystic starting the tier, so he is getting pushed in a little bit, going into Trinity Force immediately afterwards, so looking for a little bit of a faster power spike. But Prey's really going to have an edge from not having bought that tier for a short little while.
And I really don't like that. If you look at World Elite's team comp, there's not a lot of damage. Nothing's going to come from Sion, not a huge amount from Spirit. When you've only got 2 damage sources, I'm not a big fan of the AD carry Manamune build, but
in the late game it can work. In the late game, it can work, but like, especially, you have to get there, right?
Yes,
I totally agree that it's very unlikely in the situation that you actually get there. And the other thing is that wind wall can block so much of Ahri's damage.
Oh,
you know, one good wind wall in an engagement, and that like halves the damage output of the team.
even more if you count True Shot Barrage in there, Mystic Shots, etc. There's so many options.
Here we go. Lee coming in from behind, trying to get a play into Xia. He's going to kick him back. There's a last breath pop by Kuro. Kuro trying to get the damage. Ignite used. Is it enough? Doesn't look like it will quite be. And Xia just barely gets out, sub 50 health.
That was actually really nicely played by Xia to get out of that one, because he did get a lot of distance with the Spirit Rush and then flash right back over towards his turret. So he did lead GE on a merry little chase. Xia has been very impressive individually this tournament, I have to say, which is what we would expect from a #1 player in solo queue.
Yeah, great pickup. In contrast to Ninja, who only really looked good this sort of last week, who Xia is replacing. Very, very confident, and there is so much pressure coming up against GE Tigers. Arguably, almost definitively, the strongest team, and she is just not phased. The only thing is, in this matchup, notice how he doesn't have a winning lane necessarily anymore, and now she is feeling the pinch. He's down on CS against Kuro. Yes, he did just get ganked, But leading up to that point, Kuro had been playing very aggressively and wasn't in a passive mid lane matchup anymore.
And this is very atypical of Kuro as well. He normally does not play this aggressively during the laning phase, so he's switching things up, toying with his style a little bit, because he's usually the one who's just sitting right back at his turret, and he just farms and ends up being spot on the team fights in the late game. You generally see more aggressive play out of Smeb up in the top side instead, but this time it has been a lot of wave pressure coming out of Kuro.
Yeah, it's interesting as we see Prey take this bottom turret completely unopposed, but you know, again, just showing how GE Tigers seem to kind of come with something new every time you see them. You know, oh, what, now Kuro can play this aggressive mid lane style too? It's so scary for anyone that has to play this team.
Well, but that's what the greatest teams do, right? They constantly adapt. They make the changes that are necessary in order to keep teams guessing about what they're going to do next and to instill that worry and fear in their opponents as they go into a series.
Shia coming up to try to make a play on Smeb in the top lane. Aluka misses that all. But here comes Shia. It's still going to be a lot of damage. Out Charm misses. Tidal Wave misses as well. Everything missing. Smeb does go down. Doesn't look like the turret is going to finish off Aluka, but it looks like Shia in a lot of trouble. Lee kicks him back under turret, but turret does not want to cooperate there. Knockback onto Prey. And it looks like Shia will escape from this one. Wow.
Yeah, but they're so chunked out, and now they're just going to push down the top lane turret. So, in fact, just by diving Smeb right there, they committed so much HP to that engagement that they're actually going to lose an objective off of it unless Spirit can trade in the mid lane, which, given how little damage that turret has taken, I don't think is going to be too likely. It's
probably
about
not.
50% HP right now.
There is a siege minion though, so unless somebody gets there quickly enough, maybe that'll be a close one.
Smeb actually didn't teleport into the mid lane, but looks like Kuro... Oh, he's actually taking the long way around. He is scared. So they had a chance to save that tower had they used the teleport, but instead going down into the bottom side. I think that's a little bit of an error.
And it's interesting to see how World Elite 2 games in a row have focused Smeb's Rumble, but I feel it's like a little bit too late. Let's see if they can get a second kill this time around.
Three more coming.
Dove again, that's right, but they're not going to be able to get there soon enough to save Smeb. Can GE try to equalize this one? Aqua Prison gets flashed out of by Spirit. And will the fight continue? Lee thinking about coming over the wall, but I don't think he's going to find an opportunity. Dragon up in 2 seconds, too.
I really like that play from World Elite. They had the numbers in the middle lane. They realized that Mystic could push bottom, and as a team, they were on the same page to get another quick kill. This will also lead to the second Dragon of the game for World Elite, so they're keeping themselves relevant. They ended up trading towers despite giving up a kill. But it's pretty good decision making. It's calculated, and hopefully for World Elite they can make more of those plays in the coming minutes.
Yeah, not only that, but they knew Equalizer was down, and he had just burned his TP as well. So there's really no counterplay after that. Definitely a good call from WE. Luca going for the Shroud and the Cowl, actually, before picking up anything else, so...
And Smeb looks like he's going for Liandry's again. It appears to be another Liandry's rush, so something that... There's a lot of arguments for and against the efficiency of the item and whether or not you're going to keep somebody in place long enough, etc., etc. But again, it can work against Luca, who is stacking HP, who is stacking some MR.
Yeah, I think in the long run, definitely a great item to have on Rumble. Just not sure if you want to get it immediately or not. Kuro now finishes his static shift pretty late right there on this Yasuo.
Well, he did get that Cutlass first, so you'd imagine that would be a little bit later than normal. GE trying to take this mid lane turret. Spirit, though, coming down. Mystic firing that two-shot barrage up to clear
it's top
something
lane.
in the top lane.
What if it hits Smeb?
There we go. Nice. Nice shot. Wow, got him all the way across the map. That was amazing.
It was intended.
Yep. Totally intended.
But the scary thing for World Elite is GE Tigers have got Trinity Force, have got that Shiv, they've got the Haunting guys and almost level 11 on Smeb. So if GE were to decide they wanted a tower, say this middle tower, and they decide to all group up, there's a lot of damage.
Shia coming in, trying to do some damage to Prey. There's the tidal wave to zone a bit. That leaves Ari on her own, and Prey managed to pick up a kill. Spirit traps him in the Cataclysm, though. Prey trying to do damage. Knock up, though, by Jazz. And Luca comes in and just stomps him flat. GE will go ahead and trade 1-1. with WE there. That was a good Scion ultimate. There we go.
Oh, Prey, I was flashing forward for that kill. Shia was already zoned out of the fight. They want this turret anyway. Really unnecessary to go in.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Boy.
There's the kick onto Spirit.
Yeah, Last Breath will get another kill for Kuro. Equalizer should save some of the GE Tigers, but no, Ezreal manages to pick off Lee Sin there. Support's backing away, and Luca still being kind of the big tank they need him to be right now.
World Elite managed to hold on to the tower for the time being, and they managed to pick up a kill. Kuros doesn't have the damage to just insta-gib all of World Elite. He still needs to build up that Blade of the Ruined King, still needs to build up some more flat AD. So World Elite, despite being jumped on and giving up that initial presence in the mid lane, again, they've responded relatively well, and they've kept it even. The problem is, again, you need to be ahead.
Yeah,
If you're playing against GE.
Yeah.
Also, some really greedy play right there from GE. When you have to, they really have to keep the goal in mind. And the goal is to get that turret. When Shia had a very poor engage right there that was kited beautifully by GE. Prey trying to flash forward, getting himself in that Cataclysm range, and then having no other answers to get out meant that he died, and it did stall out that push. And then also, we did see Lee flash in for a kick onto just Spirit, which they tower dove with the Yasuo ult. Spirit didn't even have Cataclysm, but it was certainly not the best use of those summoners and those combos.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if GE is styling a bit here or what.
I think that might be possible. I mean, keep in mind too that they were a bit sloppy in the last game, and they ended up down a few thousand gold. Being kind of sloppy in this game too, but this time they're up by a few hundred gold. So despite still, maybe not the cleanest play from GE, they still are kind of sticking with it even better than they did in game one. Not going to stop Aluka from taking that top turret though, and that will even up the turrets at least between WE and the GE Tigers.
And GE have they've got their sights set in this mid turret. They've stayed here for the better part of the last 3 minutes, and they've always had multiple resources trying to push the wave through and trying to get it under control. And it hasn't resulted in the tower yet, but you could argue it's because of the tower dive.
Well, look at the flank wards too. Without that tower, they do have to have much more commanding vision around the mid lane as they attempt to siege, but it's all there on both sides, covering any entrance that WE could take through this. WE with good wards on the top side too, so that Aluka can keep pushing up and playing aggressively. Smeb now with that Leandries.
Yeah, that previous bottom lane play where World Elite transitioned from the mid outer to the bottom lane where they tower dove Smeb was also in part thanks to the vision that had been placed around this. So if World Elite can decide to, or opt to play around either the mid lane or the red side jungle of GE Tigers, they can just transition quite seamlessly and relatively safely thanks to all that vision they've afforded themselves.
Yeah, and the question that comes in here too is once the Blade of the Ruined King is done on Yasuo, who's going to stop the split push? And WE doesn't really have an answer because there's the percent HP damage onto Rumble and onto Yasuo at this point that is going to make it very difficult for this Scion to stay alive in the mid game and to stop the pressure. And Ahri has had to build pretty defensively, doesn't actually have a lot of damage items at this point in the game, and Kuro pretty far ahead.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Yasuo as well against some of those big CC-based tanks, because not only will Blade of the Ruined King burn through the HP, but Yasuo is going to have that bonus armor penetration once he decides to ult. So if Aluka is the unlucky... Oh!
Whoa,
did that
did
go?
he get it? He got it. Nice. Mystic stealing that blue buff with the True Shot Barrage. Not bad.
And you'll notice what happened right there was GE placed a pink ward, then cleared out a blue ward. So Mystic was actually judging that True Shot Barrage before they even started it.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Very impressive by Mystic. Dragging up in a couple seconds now. Looks like Shia might be able to take this bottom turret. Kuro wants to say no. He's going to go in on this. Wow, Shia in a little bit of trouble. That's a lot of damage coming in from Yasuo, and Kuro smart. He doesn't need to continue this. He just needs to poke Ahri out and get ready for that dragon, and that's exactly what he's doing.
He didn't even have to use his ult.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Smart play from Kuro as well, because you saw World Elite leave the mid lane towards River, so it would have been a relatively risky engage.
and by popping her ult at the same time, you really set yourself up in a good position, especially around this dragon. She a bit low and ultless. as this goes in. Smeb walking down right now. There's the TP from Sion.
Yeah, Prey's got to back off. He's a little bit forward here. Blue team does take the Dragon, though. WE managed to steal it, and now Prey in a little bit of trouble. Knockups coming in. Aluka making a big difference. Equalizer does go down. Mystic with the first kill. Aluka still charging down the river. That's a double kill now for Mystic. GE on the run. Spirit coming in to try to make something happen again. Smeb turning with that flame spitter, but again, a triple kill now for Mystic. Kuro in a little bit of trouble. He's slowed up, trying to get back to that turret. There's another kill, and it looks like WE, they might actually be able to get an ace. Mystic coming in again. Wind wall goes up. Yasuo comes back in. Kuro gets a shutdown onto Mystic. So in the end, an ace for WE, but Kuro at least gets something out of it. WE gets the turret as well. A big win and the Dragon. Wow, well played by WE.
And right there, GE was really not committed to either taking the Dragon or actually turning right there. Aluka did get the flank in. And in spite of the fact that there was a tidal wave for the disengage, Smeb places a 3-man equalizer and walks forward, gets knocked back by the Monsoon. So there is no engage onto the back line. Aluka doing a good job of tanking up front. And GE just not very decisive in that team fight. They could have used the equalizer a lot earlier right there and tried to make something happen. And Kuro, I don't believe, ever used his ultimate during that engagement too, so didn't take advantage of the Nami wave whatsoever. I mean, this isn't a champion that he's known for. Now Mystic is going to die, and he actually forces a flash out of Yitza here at the end as well. You can see the tornado coming in, may have been able to finish him off.
Yeah, I think the tornado into that last breath definitely would have, but that is a massive win for World Elite. Another tower, another Dragon, so that's their third of the game, as well as the near ace, was ace actually. All of the gold was spent completing an hourglass for Xia, so that's going to give him more survivability against the Yasuo all-in. And with the fact that Mystic is now 4-1-3, that little hump that his build had suffered is now being overcome. So that late game is being accelerated for the carry that needs to have the damage on the side of World Elite, and they're not stopping yet.
There's a wind wall, just keeping Kuro safe there. He did finish his Blade of the Ruined King, so it's an important buy now for Yasuo. Added a little bit more critical hit onto that afterwards as well with his next item buy. But once again, we see GE Tigers down by a few thousand gold. Down a little bit farther maybe than we saw them last game.
For GE Tigers, this team comp needs to be even tighter when they group up. And to explain it in a little bit better wording, because of the fact that Kuro is so dependent on getting 2 or 3 or the important people knocked up for that last breath, if he's not in sync with Gorilla or Lee's kickbacks 100% in sync, you're going to have those team fights again where Kuro is spending most of his time kiting and running around, waiting for the opportunity to go in.
Well, I think that one was just confusion as to whether they were fighting at all, because if Smeb was going to go in after the equalizer like that, you needed Kuro to go in with the last breath first when the Nami tidal wave hit the most of the team. So GE just not executing that particularly well, and Aluka just doing a good job of tanking right up there in the front line and allowing Mystic to clean up from the back.
Yep. Now GE Tigers, when they came into this tournament, they said that they were going to win it without dropping a single game. And I feel like right now we're seeing them kind of coming the closest to not doing that that we've seen yet.
Well, GE still is this Sion, which we have seen so difficult to kill this tournament. This is a team with 2 Blades and a Liandry's. So this is going to be exceptionally powerful at dealing with some of these big frontline tanks. And also, if they have any opportunity to take Baron whatsoever, it is going to die extraordinarily quickly. So they don't need a big timing window, and WE has to keep their eyes on that objective.
I also like the fact that for GE, they do have multiple damage threats. The fact that you do have top, mid, and AD carry. Sion, as you've already rightly pointed out, Monty, is just going to be for the front line. And if he doesn't stun and he doesn't get those knockups for Xia and Mystic, it's not going to work out well enough. Xia needs to hit those charms to remove one of the threats from the Tigers.
Right. GE successfully defending that bottom tier 2 turret for the moment anyway.
I wonder if they're going to dive this, considering Smeb isn't there. They do see him in the mid lane. They've got a good position on it right now. Some poke coming over the wall.
20 seconds for TP from Smeb.
And only a minute till that next dragon, too. Spirit taking some damage. Luca coming in. There's a tidal wave going through. Last breath doing some damage. Lee getting a bit low, though. First kill comes in for Sion onto Kuro, and now Mystic starting to make something happen. Oh, they caught Prey in that little area by the lane as well, too. And GE just getting destroyed in another team fight. Another kind of lack of coordination. It looked like Kuro going in very early and just getting blown up, and then things getting worse from there.
Prey's positioning, too, was terrible during that team fight, getting caught along the wall and easily killed, and now WE, the massive gold lead and taking out an inhibitor. So they've established a very firm foothold in this game, and they've found the right engagements.
Monte Cristo, this might be the first competitive loss on Corki for Prey.
Shocking.
Possible, yeah. We're seeing
Definitely
a little bit of the old Prey, though, you know, I mean, that's the Prey from about a year ago or so, the one that had kind of trouble with positioning in team fights. The Prey from this year has been great, but this game, not so much.
It'd be a big come-from-behind victory at this point for GE. We'll see if WE can close it out. They've had the better positioning in the team fights so far.
I think they've punished GE's maybe lack of experience on this mid lane Yasuo. Every time GE have grouped up, it's not been 100%, ooh, that's a big hit.
Yeah.
It hasn't been 100% on point, and World Elite, they just consistently find good fights. The Sion is working this game. I'm not traditionally a massive fan, but it seems to go in.
Ooh, Lee going in just by himself and dying. Where is the coordination here? And look at that, Aluka coming in, threading the needle, getting a lot done. And GE Tigers in trouble yet again. A double kill coming in for Xia. Pops that Zhonya's Hourglass, and Smeb not able to get back for the kill. I think he got charmed there as well and Prey down. That is a perfect ace for WE.
That's going to be the game.
I think they're going to go try to end it. I think you're right. Wow, I can't believe it. GE Tigers, I mean, we've seen them be a bit sloppy before in the past, but this kind of, it's a new level, and you can't do that against a team like WE. They played it out very well.
I'm actually super surprised they're not trying to end right now, considering there's still a 20-second timer onto Corki. They want a dragon instead. It will be number 4 for them, but I feel like WE had a really good opportunity right there.
A lot of respect for GE Tigers and running the risk of getting caught out. Kuro didn't use his last breath either, so if they had barreled together at a Nexus turret, maybe, well, they could have got caught out.
He went in and tried to get the kick so that Kuro could ult right there. That was the entire purpose of that move, and you really see this Yasuo is not something that GE is used to playing around. And let's take a look at this. I mean, Lee was hiding in the pit that entire time. There is the kick.
On both. Kuro just didn't pull the trigger. Xia and Mystic were mid-air.
Was he close?
Yeah. Well,
definitely. The range is very, very large.
And so they get him in the choke in the end, but they just can't get the coordination in these team fights. She's going to dash forward right here, get out of the equalizer, and then go ahead and Zhonya's baits the flash out of Smeb, and Prey not timing his rocket correctly. Itza will come in with the W, and there's the double kill from Mystic, who's been doing just a great job of positioning and staying behind his tanks this game.
Wow, well, there you have it. WE with a possible chance to end. They opt to just grab that dragon again. Now 10,000 gold ahead. This is absolutely the biggest deficit we've seen GE have in 2015.
Well, and it's great play from World Elite. They are playing aggressively. It's what they didn't do, in my opinion, as effectively in the previous game. And the Sion is enabling that in some ways, thanks to that ultimate being able to charge in. But what I also like from World Elite, they've had great vision. Once again, if you look at that minimap, it is just littered with blue wards. GE,
Whoa, and meanwhile, Lee gets a little bit too close, gets taken out, and WE is going to try to take this Baron now. Oh no, and Gorilla comes up again. He's like, I'm next. Double kill for Xia.
Maybe Xia was sandbagging playing Diana because he knew that he could play Arya and LeBlanc in the
Very, very effective for them.
Yeah, it's been a great pickup. I think we might see that banned in the next game. I would imagine we're going to go to game 3 here. Baron's still being worked on by WE. Looks like they'll be able to get it. And Mystic just pushing into that mid lane now. And with the Baron buff, with the inhibitor down, with GE's seeming inability to use this comp in a team fight, I think we can assume WE's going to take this one.
Yeah, we should be seeing a game 3 right here as WE goes through the motions of cleaning this one out. And Luca so tanky at this stage. And it kind of all went wrong in that fight in the bottom lane where they weren't on the same page. Where Mystic did pick up a triple.
Yeah, and it just continued to roll through there. Got the items completed. Interestingly, if World Elite finish before, I think, 37 minutes 20, is what I took stock of the previous game. It'll give World Elite the choice of sides
That's huge.
in that deciding match. And here comes Aluka one more
Sion.
time.
Whoop, right through the middle. And GE gets a chance to turn this one around. There's an Aqua Prison, but Spirit comes in with a knock-up onto Smeb. Tidal Wave cannot save him. Zonius goes down. That's a big cataclysm. GE blown up very quickly. Double kill already for Shia. And WE with an easy cleanup in this team fight. Prey able to do nothing as he's taken down. Another kill for Mystic. That's a double for him, I believe, this fight. Nope, just a single. He took out the inhibitor as well. There go the Nexus turrets. And the GE Tigers, if they win this one, they're not going to do it perfectly because WE is forcing it game 3. GG.
Yeah, great play from WE.
Yeah.
And this team really coming together. Smile on Spirit's face right there. So we'll see if GE tries to play another champion that they have zero competitive experience on. They certainly made it a lot harder for themselves to get to the finals, and a questionable decision in the end.
GE Tigers came into the tournament saying that they wanted to win flawlessly. They played a champion that they have limited experience on, none this year, and they got punished for it. They were not on the same page, despite the big smiles and grins all around.
They don't look too phased.
They don't look too phased, but you have to call out the elephant in the room. They were not on the same page. For a team that is so good at reacting and is so in tune with one another,
well,
they were listening to different frequencies.
Let's find out a little bit more about that as we toss it over to the expert desk and get their take on it.
Thank you very much, Doa. We asked, will it be enough to keep WE in the competition? And it surely is. It worked out for them. And, well, I don't know if the GE Tigers, they said they wouldn't drop a single game the whole tournament. They did here, and just honestly looking a little complacent in that game.
Bit of a cocky draft, honestly, starting with the Yasuo pick. Not a single Yasuo game in their entire LCK record, and not even a single split-pushing champion. Bit of a surprise. Don't expect to see it the next time around. And GE's ability to dodge all the mid-lane pressure and then eventually snowball into the Corki lane, GE kind of rolled over after that.
Yeah, we got a lot more hard engage coming in, and this big front line with Spirit on job and first picked again for him, and of course Aluka on Sion doing really well. So this time around, World Elite can look for the fight.
Weakest top laner in the
He
region,
has been in the LPL, that's just been the case. I mean, you can ask all the experts, I talked to them at least, and I gotta give him the credit. I said it earlier during the cast as well. He's been looking very good here at IEM. He's really been performing well for the team.
And looking very good. I am continually impressed also by ZA now on that Ahri. Very glad that Diana was banned in a previous game. Now we could see what he could do on LeBlanc. We know that he's mechanically adept, and definitely they should go going on this, banning out the Rek'Sai, strong mid laner for him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Rek'Sai not being there was very huge because once GE Tigers fell behind, they couldn't use the Rek'Sai to really scout where World Elite were coming from. And also, again, just such a different playstyle when you have a Yasuo. That's no longer a kite composition. That's where you need to all in on the enemy team, and they simply weren't able to. Even the Ezreal pick here for Mystic, because he just managed to stay alive and he cleaned up the fights in the start and got so many kills from it. It became super impactful, and a lot of credit to the players to have the two new guys coming in. Again, they're number 1 and number 2 in the Chinese solo queue rankings. They're really showing their abilities here on the big stage.
Yeah, and it is great because honestly, I expected a 2-0 in this game. So I'm really happy that we're going to get to see Game 3 from World Elite. Also, some little records broken there. First time that they've lost a game with Lee Sin, with Corki, with Nami. First time that they played Yasuo as well. So maybe that's a bit of a interesting one. Bit of a coincidence that they're using a champion they're not used to.
Something here about World Elite is, though, throughout the tournament we saw Spirit really preferring the Jarvan pick, and this game really showed why his team fight ability is really bar none anybody else here. And I can understand why, even though the champion is nerfed, he picks it. In so many team fights, he was able to catch out Prey multiple times, combo with the Sion, with the Ahri, and I think there should be a ban for the next game, to be honest.
It really just seems like a trend in the LPL. We see other teams still do it here in 5.4. Just play so well around the Jarvan and his team fighting potential. Their ulti, of course, to really split up fights. So great game. It was banned in the first game, obviously, and I believe we had a faster win here for World Elite, so they get to choose side for the last game.
Just double checking.
I think so. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think
WE will be blue in the next game. They did get to choose, I presume, but they're blue in any case. Yeah.
They're not going to get Jarvan next game, I presume. 21 out of 23 kills for WE Spirit was involved in, so no, we said that maybe team fighting's not going to be the strong point of them, but their team fights were incredibly good this game.
As long as they have hard engage, they can snowball the lead.
Yeah. You're starting to believe, guys?
No.
No.
I don't think they'll lose another one.
Come on, we've seen crazier, well, not particularly crazier things, but we've seen crazy things.
GE Tigers have not lost a
Series,
series ever. I think that's like enough. And against Team
Katowice is
WE,
bonkers, man.
yeah,
So much
it's
already.
great. It's great for the tournament overall.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening.
They lost way harder against SKT in the second game. Just in the laning phase, they were completely crushed in that series. So this is not a team that is going to tilt off this loss.
No. We will see. I mean, there's always a chance. We'll see after the break as we find the final game to the GE Tigers and World Elite for that final spot in the final. We'll be right back.
Katowice świetnie się prezentują. Przekonaj się o tym w nowym roku. Katowice dla odmiany.
We are all equal in the fact that we are all different.
We are all the same in the fact that we will never be the same.
We are united by the reality
that all colors and all cultures
Are distinct and individual.
We are harmonious in the reality
that we are all held to this earth.
by the same gravity. I'm a gamer.
I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer.
I'm a gamer.
I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, where we're about to find out who our final finalist is. This is going to be World Elite or the GE Tigers. You guys, by the way, can stay in a conversation and go over to facebook.com/IEM or tweet at us using the hashtag IEM and twitter.com/IEM, and look at all the VODs at youtube.com/ESL, because there's been a lot of games already, but we still have a very important one to come here as well. Also tweet at Riot Deficio if you like how his hair is today or how he's dressed in general.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, we're about to dive into picks and bans here, and straight off the bat, we see a Victor ban from WE.
I don't think that WE are going to change anything.
Yes,
I mean, they've
Diana
run
ban.
it the same two anyway. We were discussing whether you leave Diana open and, you know, get rid of the Jarvan, or whether they change up their strategy on that front. But so far, they're going to plan, and they've banned C. Wow.
You get rid of the hard engage, honestly. It's the only way World Elite can really snowball the lead. Same bans for them, Victor, Lissandra. No surprise, Lulu was the last one. Same goes for you now, the Jarvan. So basically, you take away the two frontline engages from the last fight, and of course the Diana, we have seen them play time and time again. Here, IEM.
Now, absolutely must take the Rek'Sai, seeing as how it was a problem in the first game for World Elite to snowball the mid game. Leads me to think that they might side with a Maokai for the GE Tigers, get rid of the second big frontline threat, and all of a sudden you force a Luca into a less tanky champion.
Yeah, and also Rek'Sai doesn't offer you the same kind of hard engage as a Jarvan will, so unless they get a tank who can actually go in and start the fights from World Elite, we won't see the same kind of game as we saw here in before.
Well, LeBlanc will be first choice here for the GE Tigers. What is Shia going to play in response? We've seen him, you know, diversifying a little bit because of that Diana ban. Where would you go?
I think more than likely he has to play an assassin here.
Just play Ahri again.
That can do well, or Ahri, exactly. And, you know, he has shown quite a bit of success in the mid lane in these assassins, and I wouldn't be surprised if he'd be able to pick up a solo kill against Kura. I mean, we were in the pre-game lobby, and the Tigers were joking that he was a better mid lane than Kura.
They were also saying that Spirit should play jungle Lulu, but, you know, they banned that one out for today, sadly. But they're hovering over Yasuo. I don't imagine that'll be the choice for this one. In fact, they will lock in the Ahri. So Ahri once again for Shie. He was really impressive, actually, in that last game.
Yeah, and very much a skill matchup in the mid lane, which has honestly gone in his favor, or at least kept it even for the entire tournament. So I like this pickup here. Somewhat the same setup for him, at least in there. Will be a bit tougher than the Yasuo from the last game. Maokai, though, not being picked by World Elite, so I want to see what kind of engage they're going to go for, because so far, if you look at Rek'Sai, look at Ahri, they all need setup. The horse would work.
Really surprising that they didn't prioritize the Maokai right here, just because how good of Maokai is at locking down that LeBlanc with the twisted advance. And, you know, the Morgana was not going to be taken away by the Tigers. They already locked in their support with the Jan, and they're not wanting to really prioritize the top lane Morgana. So,
very true.
You know, a little bit of a mistake in my eyes in that draft.
Honestly, I think they wanted Hecarim from the get-go, and that's why they didn't go for the Maokai. So you got a bit more split pushing potential, and what Hecarim offers with the teleport is obviously also you have the Rek'Sai with the ulti, so you can now go back to your 1-3-1 setup, which is great for World Elite and what they've been using early on to win games. Yeah. And you also now got some hard engage. You got the Sivir ulti. Again, I like the composition. It fits with their playstyle. GE Tigers, though, gone a bit more back to the kiting style, but still quite some peak potential with the likes of LeBlanc and Lee Sin.
I mean, these are all some of their most popular picks within the LPL, so we're going to see a completely different Tigers as from last game. But interestingly enough, no Ignite in the top lane Hecarim for Aluka, so maybe thinking he's going to be targeted a little bit, doesn't want to die nearly as much.
Very quick and decisive pick and ban phase for both teams. We'll see who it pays off for, World Elite or the GE Tigers in the finals. We'll find out right after this.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Intel Extreme Masters, and this is it. Do or die for both World Elite and the GE Tigers. The winner goes on to the finals tomorrow to face TSM. The loser goes home. GE Tigers, a bit sloppy last game. World Elite playing extremely well and capitalizing on that. GE Tigers probably going to take the gloves off now, play it a bit more serious. What do you see happening?
Well, still, there's the chance of the freak accident. So, I mean, we could see WE take this game. It's now down to that best of one.
Sure enough.
And I mean, going into this match, it can't be understated. If the GE Tigers lose this game, this is undoubtedly the biggest upset in League of Legends history.
Yeah, it's
not a doubt in my mind that anything takes the cake on that one.
Well,
Kaboom! But I do agree that it would be in entirety. And, you know, I saw a tweet just before we came on air. 22 losses for World Elite in the LPL. GE Tigers have 20 wins and 2 losses in the LCK. So massive, massive disparity. The one thing I do like about World Elite's team comp, if they play as aggressive as they did previously, and if Aluka can have similar levels of engage that he did on Sion, but this time with the onslaught of shadows, there is the possibility, but it will hinge on the disengage from Lee and from Gorilla as to whether or not World Elite can stick to GE Tigers long enough.
Right, and the thing too to mention is that the Hecarim pick is a little bit more finicky. He's not going to have as much leeway in terms of his tankiness if he builds that Trinity Force first. He did end up switching over to the Ignite in terms of his summoner spell. So you see him wrap around here in the top side, getting some decent deep wards. They're trying to prevent Smeb from handing over these Raptors early on, presumably to Kuro doing a stack and then Wing to him that we saw a bit earlier today.
Yep, looks like they won't be able to. Well,
yeah, they're just going to chase the sapling out right here. They don't want that advantage for Kuro in the laning phase.
And there's actually so few teams that are willing to try interrupt those Maokai jungles. It's surprising it doesn't happen more often, but it's a small win considering how strong Kuro was earlier.
I mean, for a team that is brand new, for WE to have the heads-up sense to go and contest that already is absolutely fantastic.
Well, I mean, we've been talking all week about how WE is the last place team in the LPL. I don't think the WE we're seeing right now would be last place if they had had them all season.
They've had some of these players available for use sooner.
Right.
I think that's fair to say, because as a team, even just over the last 2 days, if you contrast the 5 games that they've played thus far, this being the 6th, I think, they're even growing in the decision-making.
Yeah.
Yesterday, as a team, the team fights were sloppy, they were disengaging poorly, or engaging poorly on different pages. Their teleports were off kilter. This morning, double teleport, they were on the same page. They could have split pushed more effectively, but I'm, being a little bit overly negative here because their team fights were solid.
All right, well, they're going to hand actually the blue buff over to Smeb early on right here to see if they do want to try and make a play or at least get some experience down in that bottom side if they do just decide to push it up right now. I think it's smart to go into the lane swap right here with some of these newer players because they may not be all on the same page right now. Plus, you have the advantage with the Sivir matchup in general, and the double spell shields is incredibly annoying for Corki to try and trade against with Phosphorus Bomb.
I think I prefer Spirit in this opportunity in the lane swap. I feel like Rek'Sai has a little bit more kill threat than Lee Sin, especially if they want to go for some dives, combo the knock-up into a Dark Binding if you go bottom lane, or a Charm in the mid lane. Maybe there's a few more opportunities for Spirit and World Elite.
Well, I think you're right, because we do see GE Tigers sending Gorilla down there to, sending Gorilla down there to keep Smeb a little bit safer too. So yeah, they probably were worried about a bit of a dive early on. Aside from that, pretty standard stuff for a lane swap. Yep, Aluka putting a ward in that try just to keep himself safe as well. He's going to try to break this freeze that Prey's tried to set up.
Yeah, but he's lost a lot of CS already. We do see a little bit of a lead developing right there. Smeb able to use that blue buff, and already Lee trying to pry him off the wave up in the top side, just making sure that he will be overextended. Good warding, though, will keep him safe.
Yeah, but that ward in the river will time out in the not-too-distant future, so if Lee does decide to hang around a little while longer, we did see him do a few repeated ganks in game 1 of the series. However, that was with Smeb, the top lane, and not Prey, the AD carry, so options available for Lee.
Yeah, and Smeb actually just recalling and then teleporting right back with a second Doran's Ring straight into the bottom side. So transitioning really nicely off of going from blue to Gromp, straight into bottom, getting that farm and not skipping a beat.
And this is one of the games where it would be good if Smeb could get his hands on that Righteous Glory for both the engage and the disengage power that it's going to offer GE Tigers against a Sivir, against a Hecarim, against an Ahri, who are incredibly mobile and incredibly fast.
Yeah, and WE here, they're going to benefit pretty significantly from an Aegis because GE does have that large amount of AP damage coming in. So itemizing 4MR will be effective. It'll be great for Aluka in the later stages of the laning phase after he picks up a Trinity Force and starts to split push. But eyes on Aluka right here because he really does have to make the engages. And Hecarim is not as forgiving of a champion. You have to know when to be in your base in order to get the proper engage with home guard boots. So it's significantly more complex to play as a team. And with how new this team is, I have my doubts.
And it's even more complex when you're so far behind already. Yes, Aluka is staying level relevant, but he's down 12 CS to 27 of Smeb. Praise not necessarily zoning him every time we've caught a glimpse of there, but that 80 carry threat of Corki making Hecarim's last hitting life very difficult.
And they're trying to set up right here. Lots of wards from Spirit on the top side. They want to move this Morgana in as well. They want to get Xia ahead considering how well he's done individually this game. There's the W4 that may be the chance. No level 6.
Kuro has to flash his still big control. What a charm, and first blood goes to Spirit. Great gank, great charm from Xia.
So risky from Kuro to W forward when he has no wards around the mid lane. Great setup from WE though.
And it's what we talked about with that Rek'Sai, the kill pressure from the knock-up into the charm. Xia gets on the board. The kill did go to Spirit, which is not the end of the world, if he can look to impact the rest of the lanes. Or I think I would love to see him continue the warding on the top half just to help guide Aluka into the mid to late game.
Already a little bit of a scary start for the GE Tigers.
Well, there's still, I mean, because of the CS advantages right now, we're still pretty much even in this game. It's not going to be the end of the world for Kuro. Spirit also invested a lot of money into wards to set that gank up in the first place. They do have eyes on Lee, but Spirit has just been doing a fantastic job this game, showing why he's one of, if not the best jungler in the LPL.
And true enough, well, you saw getting possibly some deep wards in, just kind of keeping an eye on things. That's going to allow them to keep pressuring that bot lane, I suppose. Meanwhile, Kuro just keeping the increase in CS going. He's got a couple teammates around to keep him safe now, too.
The real story, though, is that this Maokai is getting so far ahead, and he has been completely unpunished in doing so. Does hit level 6, and this frees up in this lane swap situation Gorilla to move more freely around the map, help ward up around the mid lane for Kuro, who finally has that protection. Blue buff will be passed over to both mid laners here at level 6. Xia going for a Chalice first into that Athene's for some, presumably for some extra MR, at least in a very bursty LeBlanc lane.
Yeah, Kuro looks like he might be going for the Morale Namicon earlier, though, so he's going to have possibly a little bit more damage in the early stages of the game, and we'll see how well he can make that work out for him. I mean, getting killed early on, it's going to make him a little bit mad. I think Kuro's out for blood now.
The thing is, though, as well, even if you look at the CS, despite giving up that kill, he's still ahead in CS, despite all of the pressure that Kuro's had throughout this entire series.
It's not about the money, though, man. It's about the pride.
Touche. I can't disagree with that.
WE actually out of position here a little bit. There was a pink ward being killed by Xia up in the top side that's allowed actually Kuro to get an angle right there. And because there wasn't good coordination, so Xia walked into the top side of the river to kill a pink ward, and that meant Kuro was closer as we see this little duel going down. And so immediately as that happened, pings went down from WE onto the closer side of the river to the dragon, and they immediately backed off. So you can see a little bit of miscoordination right there in terms of what they want to do on the map.
And the thing is, Spirit has been very, very adamant about early dragons. Despite the fact he's not on Jarvan, he still attempted a relatively early game dragon at this stage, and it's something he's done all weekend long. Spirit is really, really trying to take advantage of uncontested dragons where possible, but he gets out cleanly thanks to that burrow.
Aluka's also caught up now in terms of that CS significantly, so he has been able to close that gap. up on the top side. Looks like we are going to see the 1v1 for the top laners at this stage. Smeb getting relatively tanky. Aluka going for that phage first. Quick ward over into the river just to see what's going on. And Smeb will pink ward his tri-brush as he moves back to continue to farm up here. I mean, the Maokai is a very scary pick in the late game for WE. As good as Mystic's positioning has been on that Sivir, if he can get onto the lower range Sivir, it does cause quite a few issues. And there's just so much peel on the backside too when we look at this team.
Yeah, there really is. Lee's about to find Spirit.
He comes in. Yeah, a little bit of damage onto Spirit. Doesn't get knocked up. Lee in trouble. There's a kill going over to WE already. Now Kuro has the distortion over the wall to escape. Aluka trying to come in. He's going to use that onslaught of shadows. They're going to fear Gorilla. Gorilla flashes over the wall. Oh, Dark Binding barely misses. And there's a bit of damage coming in from Prey to presumably scare WE away. But the teleport coming down for the GE Tigers. They may have WE bottled in here. Prey just trying to do some damage, trying to keep them there. There's the knockup, and Smeb comes in. What can they make out of this? Kuro locked up with that Dark Binding, preventing him from coming in quite as fast, and Smeb has to back off. So a risky moment for WE, but they get out and they get a kill as well. Maybe going to get a dragon too.
Well, they could theoretically start it right here. The Void Rush is up and available, but it looks like they are just going to back off instead, at least for the moment. GE Smeb with a late teleport coming in. Again, GE not looking quite as decisive as they have in the past in these games, and WE just playing around the objective. Kuro has W out of that, and here's the Void Rush.
Yep, they're going to go for that dragon.
Mystic was a little late to the party, but it was his on the hunt that saved WE at the end of the day. He came in through the river, but thanks to the pressure that they've built up, Kuro's now caught Xie, but Dragon goes to World Elite.
Yeah, actually, Kuro not trying to do too much damage right there, not overcommitting. So another early dragon over to WE. They take that 1,000 gold lead, and we'll see what GE can do. They're still waiting a little bit for a bit of a power spike right here. Looks like Smeb will be going for that Righteous Glory, so they'll look for some hard engages.
Yeah.
Maybe once we see Prey get the Trinity Force and start to whittle people down.
I think that makes sense. Sorry, Doe, but I also highlight the fact that Aluka teleported really quickly and really rapidly. World Elite were quite adamant they were looking for the fight. They got a pick on Lee, and knowing Dragon was up, there was always going to be the possibility to just transition to that objective. But World Elite need to keep doing that every time it's up. Look to get those home guards and keep playing aggressively. And if GE Tigers get caught in their own heads a little bit, lose a few more team fights, that's how World Elite can open up the rest of the map.
We haven't really seen, I would say, GE tilt.
No, not
even
really.
when they've been pretty far behind in the past. So I think they are relatively resilient in that regard. They continue to try and make plays. They want to catch out Aluka right now. Can they do it? There's
it doesn't look like it.
My question is, the previous game team fights and some of the decisions already this game, it is also one characteristic of GE Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely, and coming down right there, that was a little bit of a desperate gank in a situation where they don't have a lot of damage.
Well, we're seeing this game kind of proceed similarly to the last one, where GE is just kind of unable to keep World Elite from taking these dragons.
Well, I mean, it's only one dragon right now, so it's definitely not spiraling totally out of control yet, but
still,
it could be a factor a bit later on. And I mean, Lee blowing his flash right there for a gank that was very unlikely to see success in the first place is a bit sloppy.
It's a bit odd, but it's also in conjunction with the odd engages that he had earlier with Kuro, not on the same page. Maybe Lee pulling the trigger more quickly than he should be doing in contrast to the rest of the team. Take a look at the support for World Elite, though. They're looking to set their sights on Smeb.
Yep, certainly could be. Meanwhile, a little bit of a duel in the mid lane. Smeb still in a lot of trouble. Is he going to be able to get out? Pops that ultimate. Doesn't look like it. Nice Dark Binding. And that helps Spirit pick up the kill. And again, GE Tigers, Smeb. It's not looking too easy. There we go. I think we're back.
Sorry about that. We had some headset issues right there for a moment, but WE coming into this laning phase with a very large lead. Aluka looking to take down that tower as well.
Oh, it's a charm onto Kuro. And with Lee there to protect him, it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Yeah, but warding really hasn't been up to par, I think, for the GE Tigers coming in here.
Monte Cristo, 1 dragon on the board, 3 kills, 3,000 gold.
And a turret.
1 tower. At what point does hell freeze over and World Elite beat GE Tigers?
I mean, it could very well happen in this game. They have a substantial advantage.
Is that while GE Tigers is made from players that have been around for a while for the most part, this is the first semi-final they've played as a team. You know, I mean, they haven't really been tested in sort of this big match pressure. And at the moment, as they lose presumably their second tower here, it looks like the GE Tigers are cracking a little bit.
Yeah, and they could very well get snowballed on. Now, the kills onto Rek'Sai aren't too much of a threat, but Prey, there's another dive potentially coming in, Spirit around the side, and WE's doing a beautiful job of snowballing their advantage, just going from lane to lane.
Yeah, the outer tower is still available on that bottom lane, and even if they don't get the tower dive kills, the wave clear and the pressure alone should buy World Elite some time on the tower. I say all of that as they decide to back, but they got some wards down at the very least. And World Elite, they're reading a very confident playbook, and with each and every game together, they seem to be growing in strength and ability and communication.
Well, right, and the thing too is with Smeb going for this Righteous Glory, I mean, GE may have some issues. That MR itemization coming into play in the late game, they could find themselves in a very low damage situation. Smeb now down a level on Aluka and has fallen behind in farm, actually.
Yeah, this is a pretty shocking turn of events in these last couple games for GE. You know, after we saw GE win game 1 so convincingly, game 2 and now game 3 looking not quite as good. Spirit comes up.
To be fair, they were down 3,000 to 4,000 gold, a similar amount in game 1 as well.
Yeah,
and here we go.
True.
There's the gank they may have been looking for. Onslaught of Shadows to get out, however.
Yeah, Luke Astap burned that ult to escape, but can GE kind of get anything out of that? You know?
It's not going to be up for the Dragon now, and that's going to be a really important point, actually. So it was a good timing. Go ahead, try and burn his ultimate so he can't get that engaged. Kuro, however, taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, Xia chasing him down. Can he get away? Kuro with some nice dodges. Now Xia in trouble. Xia manages to get the kill onto Kuro, though.
What a great play from Xia right there, and a turret at the same time. GE in real trouble in this one.
I think the strings are being unraveled. Yes, Aluka was forced to burn his ultis, 140-second cooldown, slowly being whittled away. But with the tower down and kill, World Elite may have priority on Dragon. They're pushing mid lane as well. GE Tigers are just falling so far behind.
Chasing this gank up in top lane while they lose their mid-tier 2. And yeah, they might get Aluka here, but they're going to lose their mid-tier 2 turret. It's not really going to be the greatest thing. And Aluka lives. Wow, GE Tigers completely off the rails at this point.
GE Tigers might be going full Cloud9.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Possible. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I don't know why Lee is prioritizing trying to kill this Hecarim over and over and over again. They just don't have the damage on this top side.
Yeah.
Maybe if Smev had that Blasting Wand, had that Rod of Ages, but at this point, that is a massive, massive lead of nearly 6,000 gold in favor of WE. And with how tanky this team can get, I'm not sure the comeback really exists for GE.
I like the vision from World Elite. This entire series, they have had wards in GE Tigers jungle, and that ring of blue wards across the bottom half of the map, as well as some defensive wards in the top half, is going to give Aluka some opportunities to teleport to. Yes, he doesn't have his ultimate yet, but it will be available soon. And World Elite have already shown a willingness to go aggressive whenever he has it up.
Yeah, World Elite seems to have GE's numbers right now, and if you look at the player cam down the bottom right, you see GE leaning forward, looking very intense. I've casted these guys' games every week for months. I've never seen that look on their faces before.
Yeah, I mean, they're on the verge. Like we said, this would be the single biggest upset in the competitive history of League of Legends. I can't even think of one. I'm just kind of drawing a blank right here. I guess the second biggest one may have been the finals between Ozone and Blaze back in spring 2013, which
that's possible.
On paper, Blaze coming in with a 13-game win streak and looking like they were on top of the world, only to get 3-0'd in that final. But other than that, I don't think we've seen a bigger, like this would be the biggest upset.
And the thing is, World Elite have to get over the biggest hurdle. They've got a fantastic lead, they've got towers, they've got all the tools available, but it comes down to closing out on those inhibitor turrets.
Yeah.
And with Smeb on the front line and wave clear from Prey and Gorilla, unless GE Tigers continue making more mistakes, I think GE can still dig down and defend, but they have to have a phenomenal job. There is no margin for error. And look how aggressive Mystic is playing.
Well, Smeb doesn't have a lot of armor. Yeah, I mean, it's not very hard for Mystic to just sit there and do a lot of damage.
What a great move by Spirit, too. Just coming in very aggressively, playing the objective game beautifully right here.
Yeah, this is an extremely good WE team that we're seeing right now.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking that they have come together so quickly at the beginning of this tournament, and it can't be stressed enough. They had never played together as a team before arriving here in Katowice. And they have come together. We've seen such an evolution in this team over the few days of this tournament. And Shia just being magnificent in terms of his outplays in the mid lane.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the GE Tigers, another team that came together very, very fast and started dominating everybody. You know, are we seeing the beginning of that for a team from the LPL now?
I mean, this just raises so many questions.
Yeah.
In this match, but that large deficit coming in so far, and you know, it's a long time until the next Dragon, but GE may have to give that one up as well.
Yeah, Home Guard has just been completed for Aluka. Again, vision is good. The outer turrets are all down with the exception of that top lane rather, for GE Tigers. So for World Elite, considering the way they have been playing, there should be a massive bullseye set on that inner turret. And I think GE will most likely be aware of it. So maybe see some defensive wards there to respond and try deal with the World Elite aggression.
And interestingly, too, Aluka's not going for the Trinity Force this game. He has started building more tanky. I'm not sure I like that, because at this point you can snowball in an advantage with the damage onto the back line.
I think you could, right?
And Prey also going for that Blade of the Ruined King to help just create some distance.
On the same token, there is a fair amount of damage between Spirit, Shia, and Mystic. So if World Elite are opportunistic in numbers, or, you know, again, the aggressors, maybe relying on the damage from the rest of the team to back him up. But I do agree with you. Traditionally, I like the Trinity Force. It also, the split push threat is just multiplied exceptionally. Tower pushing, attack speed, etc. Works into his favor.
Kuro going for that Abyssal Scepter, actually very afraid of the AP coming out of Ahri. And you know, it's not a bad build, because Aluka doesn't have damage, so it's unlikely that Mystic is actually going to be getting in range of him right there, but still a very defensive play from GE. Now Spirit coming in, Smeb going to tie him up a little bit. Great warding deep though.
Yeah, a lot of WE members very close by, and Smeb having to back off yet again. Meanwhile, ping's going down. It looks like Shia moving up that bot lane.
Yeah, they're just trying to play defensive right now. They don't want to overcommit, but WE's vision game has been excellent. They are playing so very well.
And as predicted, within a minute, they've moved their way to the top lane. They did get the Righteous Glory from Smeb, and the rest of GE Tigers, they're nowhere to be seen. World Elite should have a few seconds to get some damage on this turret, and they'll be able to respond in time. So I'm getting a little too excited here for World Elite. But nevertheless, it's just really good play. They're forcing GE's hand at every opportunity.
Yeah, they're playing the pressure game well. GE does have some good defensive pink wards though, so they're not being given the runaround too much in terms of their own jungle play. They have the information necessary to make decisions. Spirit finally gets up to that pink ward. That's the critical one to remove.
Yeah, and remove it he does. There's still another ward there to give GE a little bit of vision anyway, but it does kind of pave the way for maybe a couple wards from WE to come in. Now this tier 2 top turret, possibly in a little bit of trouble, as GE just tries to wait everything out, just tries to keep whatever they can keep alive at this point.
Yeah, that's a really good pink ward. You can see them playing defensively right there. Again, clearing out those wards, making sure that they can move between their mid and defend that tier 2 understar. Smeb gets caught a little bit, has to flash. Yitza coming in.
Yeah, Spirit manages to get away from that whirl, and now Yitza did burn his ultimate as well, thinking he could catch Smeb, so that's out of the way. So GE may find an opportunity here. Red buff, though, I believe, taken by WE.
Yeah, Dragon is spawning up as well, so if World Elite or GE make their way, you can see multiple blue pings down on that area of the map. GE should be able to get in range. There's not a lot of vision from either team, and based on GE's positioning, they could go in, but Kuro, he sets his sights on the horsey.
Yeah, Kuro does a little bit of damage to Aluka. Spirit there to zone. Prey's got to be very careful about his positioning, and as they come through this choke, it's going to be a little bit risky. That Morgana ult being out of the way helps a little bit, and GE Tigers are able to move into the river now. Dragon activated by WE. It'd only be their third, but it's so big. They're so far ahead of GE right now. There's a catch onto Smeb. Meanwhile, Spear comes in. There's knock up on the prey. Onslaught of Shadows comes through. Doesn't hit the AD carry. And now the exhaust onto Aluka. GE trying to turn this one around. Kuro manages to pick up a kill, but Shia responds in kind with a double, though. Things are not going well for GE Tigers. A double kill for Mystic. Prey on his own. A double kill now for Kuro, though. And it is a bloody battle. And the GE Tigers looks like they'll barely lose it. And that is an ace. Spirit and Shia survive. Can they take this dragon? Either way, a big win for WE.
Yeah, it looks like they will be able to take the dragon. Actually, even going that even in the fight was good for GE because they'll be able to get some gold and delay this game even longer. But yeah, they nearly cleaned that one up. Spirit with a great engage, got on to Prey early with the early knockup. Prey just a little bit too close right there. Did manage to Valk out of the Onslaught of Shadows as we watch this. Speed Shrine immensely helpful. So look at that, Spirit, beautiful start to that fight. Then you see, of course, the Monsoon coming in, but they can't kill Aluka quite fast enough. Prey still on the backside right here. Look at Shia, great flank, does get Gorilla, and here are the autos coming in onto Shia. Shia then saving his last dash of the Spirit Rush, does hit Kuro's clone right there with the charm, but this high speed engage, you have the Speed Shrine, you have the Hecarim, and you have the Sivir ultimate, makes it very difficult to escape.
It does, and I actually think GE Tigers, despite the fact they lost the fight, they are down in gold, they got engaged upon in an inopportune way, yet they still managed to pick up 3. World Elite cannot continue having those team fights if they do not get Prey or Kuro down early. If they focus Smeb, which they have to do in some circumstances, GE Tigers will have the time they need for Prey to get the damage down.
Great call from WE right there too. Just go ahead, get the vision control over the dragon. You might as well check it and see if you can sneak it right now. They have such a substantial, such a huge lead in this game. Only 1 tower taken.
Oh, here we go. Kuro coming in, trying to make something happen. Spirit, Smeb going into the back lines. Can GE follow this up? Mystic still in a great spot, doing so much damage. Smeb just not tanking enough to take all that damage from Sivir. Onslaught of Shadows. Prey caught out again.
That's it.
Wow, that could certainly be it. It's certainly going to be an inhibitor at least.
Absolutely fantastic response from World Elite, but GE Tigers initiated. Smeb set his sights on Mystic, jumped in, got the spell shield, and World Elite responded.
He W'd onto the Sivir. Sivir instant spell shield right there. That's going to be the Baron and almost certainly the game.
I can't believe it. I mean, this is a GE Tigers we've frankly never seen before.
GE Tigers are on par to lose the same number of games to World Elite in a best of 3 than they have done all year long in the LCK.
It's unbelievable. I mean, in Korea, against all those great teams, they're 10-0 match-wise. They've only lost 2 games total. Yeah, and here they are beaten by, supposedly the lowest ranking team in China.
China greater than all?
I can't believe it.
I guess so.
World Elite, apparently, at least.
Wow, and what a story for this WE team, too. And they're almost certainly going to close out this game at this stage. Their vision has been excellent. Their objective control has been excellent throughout this game. And they've been outplaying. I mean, Shia comes in with some very scant experience on World Elite Academy and delivers a world-class performance.
Absolutely phenomenal. Completely solo killing Kuro wasn't a favorable matchup, but more importantly, the way he danced in and out of the respective team fights in this game, on the sidelines, finding the flanking maneuvers, even re-engaging as the fight drags to a close. Great pickups for World Elite. And whoever's working in the background to help analyze the team's weaknesses from game to game is making monumental strides in very short spaces of time.
Here we go, Aluka on that split push right now. Sheen up, moving towards that Trinity Force finally. Smeb has that frozen heart, but it's not going to be too much use right here. WE just powering right into the base.
Yeah, is there anything that GE can do to stop this? There goes inhibitor turret number 1. And GE just does not have the strength to keep WE from taking this inhibitor and possibly a lot more.
They simply don't have the damage is the issue. They don't have the tools in this game with this specific composition after falling so far behind to pull this one out. It's not like there's going to be a late game miracle comeback here or a big scaling in this composition. I mean, this game is done and dusted.
Gentlemen, we are on the verge of history. Like the Titanic being hit by an iceberg, GE Tigers are being taken down in monumental fashion.
Oh yeah, I think you got to say David versus Goliath is probably a better anecdote for that one because, man, coming into it, nobody expected WE, first of all, to get this far and then to take out the GE Tigers, and we're looking at them now taking down another inhibitor turret. GE has like one more fight, and here it is. Onslaught of Shadows, a huge ultimate from Maluka, and the rest of WE coming in, just pushing back the GE Tigers so easily. 3 kills, it is over. There goes another inhibitor, and against all odds, against the predictions of basically everybody in League of Legends, WE is poised to win this match and go to the grand finals against TSM. Here they go for the Nexus turrets. Number 1 goes down, only Kuro and Gorilla left to stand behind them and save that perfect record for the GE Tigers. I don't think they can do it.
The world's best team is beaten by China's worst
I can't believe it. There it is, GG!
Whoa! What an incredible result. And this tournament has just been chock full of surprises, these upsets. And that's it. The best of 3, the first time that we have seen the GE Tigers lose a best-of series. WE comes in here with their new players, no synergy, no experience, and takes out an undefeated Korean team. Absolutely incredible.
The expert desk said at the beginning of the series that this has been the tournament of upsets. The underdog has reigned supreme. And thank you, gentlemen, for that one, because it is so true.
Well, this is going to shake up the LPL. This is going to shake up OGN Champions quite a bit. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the season shake up in these regions.
And honestly, I have no freaking clue who's going to win the final. Nothing is predictable anymore.
Yeah.
It's been such a wild ride.
Oh, it's going to be great, though. TSM versus WE, that is going to be an awesome finals. Well, let's take it over to the expert desk to break down that crazy match.
Thank you very much. We have no problem admitting that we were wrong. I pitched this morning. We saw a huge difference, WE game 1 to game 2 yesterday. How big of a difference would it be here, and would it be enough? None of us believed it, honestly, and it was. What were the key ingredients to taking the GE Tigers down here and didn't? The GE Tigers kind of shot themselves in the foot by doing what they did last game.
You have to give them a stand-up ovation for this game. And I think particularly the draft, I think that the mistake from the Tigers was giving up the Rek'Sai, because as we mentioned before, Rek'Sai allows you to really tell the enemy's positioning, so it's a lot harder to be punished by mistakes because you can see the enemy, and it's just that much harder to play against it. That's why this champion is so strong right now. But particularly the pick of the Morgana early with the Maokai up, where you know that Aluka has been prioritizing this champion in the LPL and in this tournament as well, and then all of a sudden they don't take it, and the G Tigers suddenly feel like they have to take it, and Maokai was useless against the Black Shield, excellent Black Shield, and all around the engages, the ability to find picks in the bottom lane against the Sivir and the Morgana. It's almost like seeing Vi into a Sivir Morgana. You just can't do it.
And it just seemed like for GE Tigers here, as soon as they fell behind to World Elite and the amount of engage they had once again, whenever they're winning games here, they don't really know what to do, because you don't have the Rek'Sai to give you information on the map, despite not having the proper walls placed, because you can't really move too far out when you are falling behind. And then, you know, they play around this Corki power spike a little bit, but they don't gain enough from it, and suddenly Prey doesn't really have an impact on the game itself. And you just see in every single team fight, it's World Elite starting it. You have the Hecarim from Maluka here, of course, you had even the Rek'Sai coming in with the Chilling Smite. And just the individual performance from World Elite, I mean, player for player, they looked so good in these games here. The Ari pick, wow.
Fantastic, and we have an interview with Spirit ready. I can imagine he'll be over the moon, so Chober, take it away.
Thank you, Shocks, and what a story, what a match. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations once again to World Elite for entering the finals of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. I am here with Spirit, their jungler, and first of all, of course, congratulations. Everyone thought you guys were just absolutely the underdogs, not going to make the finals. How does it feel?
물론 축하드리고요. 이번 대회에서 정말 WE는 약자다, 모두가 그렇게 생각을 하고 그런 평가를 받고 있는 와중에 결승 진출한 소감이 어떤가요?
일단은 이번 결승 진출을 계기로 저희 팀이 LPL에서 성적이 안 좋다는 이유로 모든 팀들한테 무시를 많이 당했었는데, 그걸 약팀이 아니라는 걸 증명해낸 것 같아서 정말 기분이 좋고요. 그리고 TSM의 러버 선수 제가 꼭 죽이고 싶어요.
Wow, all right, well, Spirit says, first of all, I know everyone underestimated us. They said we were the last place team in the LPL. They all told us that we weren't going to win. But I think this proves that we're not a weak team. We are a strong team. And Lustboy, if you're listening, I'm coming to get you, and I'm going to take you down in the finals. Starting right off with those fighting words, but let's talk about their semifinals match a little bit. It was absolutely a beautiful best of three. And in the first game, WE looked like they were going to actually do really well even in game one, but GE Tigers turned on that switch and they came through. I want to know what they thought during the game.
자, 그러면 1경기부터 WE가 초반에도 굉장히 좋은 모습을 보여줬는데 첫 번째 경기 때는 오히려 GE 타이거스가 뭐 한국에서도 그런 모습을 보여줬지만 중간에 뭔가 확 바뀌는 듯한 좋은 모습을 보여줬어요. 뭐 팀원들 사이에서는 그때 어떤 얘기가 오고 가고 했나요?
역시 GE 타이거즈다. 뭐 정말 잘한다. 운영을 잘하는 팀이다. 하지만 우리 팀은 라인전이 강한 팀이기 때문에 충분히 이길 수 있다. 다음 판부터 열심히 해보자. 이렇게 하면서 다음 판을 더 생각하고 더 생각했어요.
So yeah, when that happened, I mean, we just said, you know what, this is why they're the GE Tigers. This is why they're the first seed. They're definitely better in that mid to late game, but we really think we can win that laning phase every time. So let's focus on game 2 and then try to take it to that game 3 to win. And they did indeed. Game 2 and 3, WE taking it pretty handily. What really was the reason in those matches, those victories for WE?
그러면 말한 대로 이제 그 두 번째 경기부터는 오히려 WE가 굉장히 손쉽게 이기는 것 같은 모습을 보여줬는데 그 이유가 뭐였나요?
그 이유는 이제 팀원들이 일단 다 긴장이 풀려서 경기 시작 전에 이제 우리는 손쉽게 이길 수 있을 것 같다. 1경기에 봐도 라인전에서 우리가 괜찮았다. 이런 이야기를 하면서 다 자신감을 가졌던 것 같아요.
Yeah, I really think we just shook off the nerves and we reviewed game 1 and we said, you know what, even in game 1, we were winning in the laning phase. We have no reason to lose the semifinal. We can win game 2, go to game 3 and go to those finals. Now, as the casters were saying, I think one of the biggest stories here is that WE came in with a brand new roster in its entirety, and now they've grown so much in a matter of 2 days. What made that possible?
그러고 이제 WE가 이 팀원들로는 거의 처음 대회를 하는 건데 이 며칠 만에 큰 성장할 수 있는 이유는 뭐였나요?
일단은 서로 팀원 간의 제일 중요했던 것 같아요. 서로가 일단은 교체된 선수들도 뭐 호흡을 맞춘 지 며칠 안 됐지만 서로를 정말 오래된 팀원처럼 믿고 그렇게 플레이를 해줬기 때문에 이렇게 좋은 성적을 낼 수 있었던 것 같아요.
Well, I really think that it's our faith in each other. Of course, we had 2 new members, but even with them, we acted as if we've been playing with them for years. We just took them in as, all right, you're in the starting roster now. We're going to play with you as if we've been playing for years. And that's really what made it happen, which personally I find interesting because that's what the GE Tigers always said about their success. But now it's WE up in the finals, going up against TSM from North America, a matchup not many people thought would see in the finals here. What or how do you feel? What's the confidence level of WE?
그럼 이제 결승전에서 북미에선 지금 완전 강자인 TSM을 만나는데 뭐 어떤 각오로 결승 준비를 하고 충분히 이길 수 있다고 생각하는지 궁금한데요.
이미 한 번 패배를 겪어봤기 때문에 두 번의 패배는 하지 않을 거고 3대0, 뭐 2대0 이런 식으로 확실하게 이길 거고요. 그리고 정말 TSM 맨 처음에는 얕봤어요. 사실 대회 시작 전에는 저희가 물론 꼴찌이긴 하지만 북미 1위 TSM을 조금 얕본 감도 있는데 그렇게 생각 안 하고 이제 정말 혼신의 힘을 다해서 노력해서 이기도록 하겠습니다.
Yeah. Of course, first of all, we lost to them once. We're not going to make that same mistake again. In fact, I'm pretty sure if we prepare, we can sweep them in the finals. And I have to be honest, coming in, although we were the underdogs, we underestimated TSM. We said, all right, well, #1 in North America, but we're pretty sure we can beat them. We won't be making that same mistake twice. We will put everything we have on the line to take home that trophy here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Spirit the Jungler for World Elite going in the finals up against TSM. For now, we'll throw it back to the expert desk to wrap up day 2.
We're clapping as well. You can't see it right now, but I swear we are. Oh, yeah.
On the
I
side.
swear we are. Joe, you immediately said when he said we can sweep them, you believe it.
Yeah, I mean, what should I say? I said I can't see WE winning this game against the GE Tigers.
Yeah.
I'd give them 20% in the best of 1. I've now resigned from my position here on the analyst desk and won't be here tomorrow.
Well, I think Crumbs, you and I, we should probably leave as well then.
Yeah, you know.
I don't think that's the best idea. With
Goodbye.
today.
No, we need Crumbs.
Some other things said in the interview, I'm coming for you, Lusboy, and Lusboy actually immediately tweeted, yeah, I'm listening, son. So that's going to be a nice matchup as well. Let's preview it a little bit more, because as said, TSM already beat WE, but it's safe to say it's an entirely different team. And with the momentum they've got here, I can see him take it.
I mean, it's impossible to predict anything in this tournament here. I mean, I was obviously looking at a double European final. That didn't happen. And that was a joke, don't worry. If we look at the last game Team Solomid played against World Elite, it was basically World Elite trying to make plays in the early game. As Spirit said here, we can win the laning phase, and Team Solomid were just better at coordinating how to catch them off, and they got really far ahead from that. If they can do the same, they will win the games, because World Elite, they rely on winning that early game so much so they can create the plays, and they rely on these hard engaged compositions to really win games. But clearly we've seen now there's enough champions for World Elite to build a heavy engaged comp, even though you ban Diana, even though you ban Jarvan, and so on.
I think the TSM World Elite matchup is going to come down to pretty much Bjergsen versus EA, because he's showed that he's not one to take the passive farm lane. He's just going to take the 1v1 assassin matchup. The LeBlanc versus the Ahri versus the LeBlanc, and then previously the Ahri versus the Yasuo. He's shown that he is good on these assassins, and so is Bjergsen. And he's not one to shy away from this 1v1
Bjergsen
matchup.
has faltered in the mid lane at a recent IEM as well. First two Unicorns of Love.
That's quite a while ago.
Oh, quite a while ago.
Okay.
Is that because it used to be your protege that you're...
No, I mean, there's very big difference between the two Team solo mates from that tournament and to here. My concern is more Centaurion as a jungler in the early game is very focused on farming and maybe like just showing himself or placing a few wards, not really ganking too much. If Spirit goes into this mid lane here and gives an edge to World Elite there, that can basically snowball the whole game if Bjergsen gets shut down, because we've just seen how good some of these players are, and if again they get their lead, they have the individual talent to really use it.
Let's take a look at the bracket now that we know what's going to happen tomorrow. We're all very surprised, but this is what it is. It is what it is. No GE Tigers in the final. They didn't just drop one game, they dropped 2 games, and they are out. And Team Solomid will fight Team WE for that title of world champion here in Katowice. It's going to be a fantastic matchup, and we have 5 games to see what these teams can do. And the same goes Lokudoko. We still don't know if he was lying or not, or maybe trying to throw us off. Said that they'd been preparing so much for SK, and that they ended up playing another team. Now, do you think that they've strategized everything versus the GE Tigers? I mean, it could be the same thing for them over again tomorrow.
I'd imagine if Lokudoko wasn't telling Porcupines, and they did in fact do that, that today he probably would have waited till after this best of 3 before he sent them off to do 12 hours of research. But
Porcupines?
Yeah. It's English for lies.
All right, then.
We like doing that kind of thing.
All right.
But yeah, the fact is they've both got the same amount of time to prepare for each other, because whatever anyone says, there's no way that these 2 teams plan to be playing each other in the final.
Yeah, and I think both teams... well, TSM actually, they said, Centaurion said in the interview, I'm confident that we can take it, and we all shuttered it off as well, you know. This is just, of course, you're not going to say this, you're not confident going to an international tournament, and it might become reality here. 5 games to find out tomorrow. So that's it from us here. We are totally shocked, but we're really happy with this final after all. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow for the grand final of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. We'll see you then.